Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to explore a very special part of our country, a land of endless sand and, well, a lot of sun. We're talking about the Great Indian Desert, which you might also know as the Thar Desert. It's a place where nature's power is on full display, shaping everything you see. So, are you ready? Let's begin.
So when you think of a desert, this is probably the image that pops into your head, right? These rolling hills of sand that just seem to go on forever. But have you ever stopped and thought, how did this happen? I mean, what makes it look like this? What incredible forces are shaping this landscape? Well, today, we're going to find out.
All right, first things first. To really understand the desert, we need to know exactly where it is. So let's find it on a map of India. Okay, take a look at the map here. You can see the Indian desert lies to the west of the Aravalli Hills. Now, this is really important. Its location next to this huge mountain range isn't just a coincidence. The Aravallis actually play a very big part in why this area is a desert. We'll talk more about that in a bit.
So, we've found the desert on the map. Now, let's talk about what makes it look like a desert. I'm talking, of course, about sand dunes. These giant hills of sand aren't just sitting there. They are always changing, always moving, almost like they're alive. And the artist that sculpts them? It's the wind.
Now, in geography, we have special names for different shapes of land. And the most common type of sand dune you'll see in the Thar Desert has a very interesting name. Any guesses? They're called barchans.
So what exactly is a barchan? Well, you can spot them easily because of their unique crescent shape. You know, like a crescent moon, just lying there on the desert floor. And these are not small piles of sand, mind you. They can be huge, and they cover large parts of the desert. If you ever go to Jaisalmer, you can see lots and lots of these beautiful barchans.
So the big question is, how does wind make this exact shape? It's actually a pretty cool process. First, you need the wind to blow steadily in one direction, okay? Then, the sand starts collecting around something small, maybe a rock or a small bush. The wind keeps pushing the sand up one side, which is the gentler slope. Then, the sand tumbles down the other, steeper side. But the sand on the edges moves a little faster than the sand in the middle. This creates 2 points, or horns, that face away from the wind. And there you have it, a perfect crescent-shaped barchan.
Barchans are very common, for sure, but they're not the only kind of sand dune in the Thar Desert. If you go closer to the Indo-Pakistan boundary, you'll start to see another type more often. These are called longitudinal dunes, and they look very different from barchans. Instead of a crescent, they are like long, straight lines of sand, all running in the same direction as the wind blows.
Okay, so we've talked about wind and sand, but what makes a place a desert to begin with? Well, the answer is the climate. The climate is what controls everything else here. Just look at this number, below 150 millimeters. This one fact explains almost everything about the desert. This is the amount of rainfall the Great Indian Desert gets in an entire year. Just think about it. Some of our cities can get more than this in just one day during the monsoon. So this lack of water is what really, truly defines the desert. So because of this very low rainfall, we say the desert has an arid climate. Arid just means very, very dry. And what happens when there's very little water? Well, you get very little vegetation. You won't find big forests or green fields here. It's just too dry. Only the toughest plants, like thorny bushes, can manage to survive.
This brings us to a really interesting question. We know there's very little rain, but what happens when it does rain? Where does that water go? It's time to investigate the mystery of the vanishing streams.
You see, in the desert, the streams are not there all year round. They are what we call ephemeral, which is a fancy word for something that only lasts for a very short time. So when the rains finally come, these little streams suddenly pop up out of nowhere.
But here's the strange part. Almost as quickly as they appear, poof, they're gone. They just disappear. The water flows for a little while, and then it just soaks right into the sand.
So why does this happen? It's actually quite simple. There's just not enough rainwater to begin with. The streams don't have enough water in them to keep flowing and reach the sea like other rivers do. The dry, thirsty sand just drinks it all up before it has a chance to go very far.
Now there is one major exception, and that is the Luni River. It's the only large river you'll find in this whole desert region. It does flow for much longer than the small streams, but you know what? Even the Luni doesn't make it all the way to the sea. It eventually disappears into the marshes.
So to wrap things up, it's really important to understand that the desert isn't just a bunch of separate things like sand, wind, and heat. It's one big system where everything is connected. So let's connect all the dots and see how it all fits together.
This right here puts it all together for us. Look at this chain of cause and effect. It all starts with the main cause, very low rainfall. Remember, less than 150 millimeters. Because of that, the climate is arid, which means very few plants can grow. And with no plants to hold the soil down, the wind is free to blow the sand around, creating those rolling sandy plains and those crescent-shaped barcans. And, of course, the low rainfall also means that any streams that do form just disappear into the sand. See? Everything is connected.
And that leaves us with one final big idea to think about. Isn't it just amazing how one simple thing, just the amount of rain, can shape an entire landscape? It determines the land, the plants, the rivers, everything. I want you to think about that. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the great Indian desert today.